Hey Legacy Traders, it's Tim Key with Option Legacy, helping you build a legacy through trading. Hey, so we were in an iron butterfly inside of Walmart, as you know, and many of you probably got assigned because I know I did. What does that mean, being assigned a contract? Well, let's go back to the basics a little bit of what an option contract is. An option contract is a right, if you're long, an option contract is the right, but not the obligation, to buy the underlying stock at the agreed upon price within the time frame that you've set. In our case, we were in the December monthly. However, if you're short, which in credit spreads, there's always a short position. However, if you're short in a position, you now have the obligation to provide the stock at the agreed upon price within the agreed upon time frame, but you don't necessarily have the right to agree. So your hand is kind of forced. So how do we hedge ourselves or protect ourselves against that scenario where our hand is forced and we have the obligation to provide something? Well, we hedge it by going long. So that's where now in the short side where we have the obligation to provide something, in the long side we now have the right or the ability, the choice, and we have the opportunity to acquire that stock at that price. So now we have obligation and we hedge ourselves by giving ourselves a choice. So that's short versus long. So when do you get assigned an option contract? Well, you can actually be assigned an option contract at any day during the option's life period. So let's say you buy an option with 6 months worth of time. You can actually be assigned that contract. If you're short in it, you can be assigned to that contract at any time during that 6 month period. However, what's the most common time? The most common time is that when you are assigned a contract is whenever you're short. You can only be assigned a short position because you are obligated in the short position. Someone else controls the choice of you having it or not having it. You have the obligation. Whereas the long, you have the choice or the right, and you don't necessarily have to exercise that choice or right. So you have the power when you're long. So you can only be assigned short, and oftentimes you will be assigned short whenever the short position is in the money and it's close to expiration. So in this case, we had Walmart that was short at the 92.50, and we have 8 days left to expiration. So since the call side is at the short 92.50 and the put side's at the 92.50, the call 92.50, since the price is above 92.50, that short call would be considered in the money. In the money. So now someone is saying we sold this, the short call, so we have the obligation to provide 100 shares per contract, because remember, one contract controls 100 shares. We have the obligation to provide 100 shares per one contract of Walmart at 92.50. And since this thing is up $5 or just about 97.25, whoever we sold this to when we went short and opened this position, they now say, I want that option. I want to exercise my option, and I want you to give me the shares that you promised at the price that we agreed upon, the 92.50. And so you're now obligated to provide that. And so whenever they assign, they do what's called, they exercise their option. And for us, it means that we got assigned early. This is all just lingo and terminology, but they exercise their option to now buy the Walmart at the agreed upon price of the 92.50 that we went short in. However, we also went long to hedge ourselves against a situation like this. So we also said, now give me the right, but not necessarily the obligation, to buy Walmart at 97.50 if I so desire so, if I want to. So in this case, we were assigned, I had two, in this Iron Butterfly, I had two contracts. So I was assigned short 200 shares of Walmart, and it was sold to me at 92.50. However, I had this long position, 97.50, that I was able to sell or exercise early and cover my short contracts, or my short shares that were given to me. So whenever you're in a credit spread and you're assigned a position, Don't freak out. Here's some rules for you. The only thing that is happening is the numbers are getting bigger. Instead of going by one contract, just one, you're adding two zeros onto the back of it because one contract controls 100 shares. So the numbers all of a sudden, overnight or as soon as they're exercised early, they become radically bigger. They add two zeros onto it and it looks just deathly ill. I had my first assigned contract in Tesla, and Tesla was trading at like $360, and I was assigned one contract, and so that was like $36,000 that I was in debt to. I was short, or I owed $36,000 worth of Tesla share. However, I also had long contract of the 355 Tesla, and so that gave me the right to buy Tesla or exercise my option and capture a 3,000 or $35,500 gain. So when I was short and obligated to give the $36,000 debt that I was short and my option got exercised, I then was able to exercise my long position and come in with 35,500, and the difference there was only 500. So my max loss stayed the exact same as it did whenever I originally opened the trade and it was contracts. However, just whenever I was exercised, I went from contracts to controlling shares, and that number got exponentially increased. However, my max loss stayed the same because I was hedged appropriately. So hey, go ahead and ask some questions. What you need to do to unwind this, whenever you're assigned a contract, you have to actually call E-Trade. You'll need a few things. These are the things. I'll also make a list and put them in the notes in the video section. You'll need to know your account number. If you don't know that, you can go to your statements inside of E-Trade and find it, or you can just use your full social. You'll need your date of birth and your name, of course, and your email associated. Then you'll call and say, hey, I was early assigned a short position in Walmart. I need to exercise my option for my long position in Walmart to cover my short shares. Say it exactly like that. And they'll look at it and they'll go, oh, Walmart, let me go check it out. Yep, you're short 200 shares in my case. Or if you had 10 contracts, you're short 10,000, 1,000 shares. Then they would say, oh, okay, yeah, you have 10 long call options here at the 97.50. Do you want to exercise that early? You say yes, and then they do that for you. They confirm it and they go, I just need to read this out to you, exercising this early to cover this, da, 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 da. Is that correct? You say yes, and then voila, it is done. Again, your max loss hasn't changed, just the numbers increased. Early assignment happens when you're short in a position, it's close to expiration, and that short position is in the money. So I hope this adds value to you. Let me know what kind of questions you have, and we can go from there. All right, guys, happy trading.